Hi, good evening. Myself, Dr. Ganapathi Rao, working as Assistant Professor in Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. I am going to discuss about the database users in database management systems. So here the interactions of the users to the database system is made to store information and provide an environment for retrieving the information. So here the user can interact with the database system, which is used to store information and which provides the environment for accessing the information or retrieving the information. So here we have the different types of database users in DBMS. So we have database administrators, application programmers, naive or parametric end users, system analysts, sophisticated users, database designers, casual users. So these are the database users. First we will discuss about the database administrator. So database administrator is a person. He defines the schema and controls the three level of databases. So database administrator is a person. Say a team, they do the teamwork. So this person is define the schemas and also controls the level of database. Database administrator will create a new account ID and password for the user if he able to access the database. Database administrator is a responsible for providing the security to the database, and this person allows only the authorized users. The database administrator allows the authorized users to access or modify the database. So database administrator is a responsible for the related to everything is related to database. He make a policies and strategies and provide a technical support. So who is a responsible for everything about the data? He is the person to make a policies and strategies and also gives the technical support. Database administrator also monitors the recovery of the database, backup, and providing technical support. So what are the main responsibilities of the database users? So here the creating the tables and managing the users, creating and managing the users, granting and revoke permissions, performing a backup and recovery, so monitoring database performance. So these are the responsibilities of the database users. And next one, application programmers. So application programmers develop applications which interact with the database using some queries. Those are the SQL queries. The application programmers, those are the interact with the database using queries, SQL queries. So what are the responsibilities of the application programmers? So writing stored procedure, triggers and queries. and also integrating the database operations in software applications. In software application, they integrate in the database operations. Database operations. So this is about the application program. An example for the SQL queries comes under the application programs. Select star from customers where city is equal to Hyderabad. So here they write the query for specific, the customer who are residing in Hyderabad, they selected only. So this type of queries we use the application programmers. And next one, naive or parametric end users. So naive users are end users. These are the unsophisticated users. Unsophisticated users, those are, they don't have a knowledge about the DBMS. They don't have any knowledge about the DBMS, but they are frequently use the database applications in their daily activities to decide to get or obtain the results. They don't know about the DBMS, but they frequently use the database applications in their daily life, right? For example, we consider the railway ticket booking user. The railway ticket booking users are naive users. Example for the naive users. So in this, the clerks in any bank is a naive users, and also clerks in any bank is a naive users because they don't have knowledge about the DBMS, but they still use the database and perform the given tasks. So these are about the naive or parametric users. And come to the system analysts. System analysts is a user. So he is also user. He analyzes the requirements of parametric user. What are the requirements of parametric user? He analyzed. That is a system analyst. They check whether the requirements of end user are satisfied or not. The end user requirements are whether the requirements are satisfied or not. Satisfied or not. System analyst is responsible for design, structure and properties of the database. They design the structure of the database. He is the responsible for design the database, structure the database and the properties of the database. Now all the requirements of end users which is handled by the system analyst. What are the requirements of end users which is handled by the system analyst? And also define the relationship between the tables and must ensure the data integrity. Define a relationship between the tables, must ensure the data integrity. Example, when you create the database using the IARE diagrams before implementing the database, here we create the database, we design the IARE diagram, entity relationship diagram. So these are the example for the system analyst. And come to the sophisticated users. Sophisticated users, which can be engineers, scientists, business analysts, so who are familiar with the databases. They can develop their own database applications according to requirements. So they don't write the program code, but they interact with the database by writing the SQL queries directly through the processor. Already naive users are now we discussed. So these are the sophisticated users. And next one, database designers. Database designers are the users who design the structure of the database, which includes tables, indexes, views, constraints, triggered stored procedures. He controls that what data must be stored and how data item is related, how data item to be related. The database designer control the database. How control what data must be stored in the data, the disk, how data items to be related. For example, designing the normalized database to eliminate the redundancy. We apply the normalization to eliminate the redundancy. So is there any duplicate data or multiple data is there? To avoid the redundancy, we apply the normalization to the normalized database. So this is example for the database designers. And last one, casual users. So casual users have a more knowledge about the query language, great knowledge, right? So the casual users access the data by entering different queries from terminal end. They do not write a program, but they interact with the system by writing the query. They do not write a program, but they interact with the system by writing the queries. So these are the casual users. And next one, various components of overall DBS database architectures. So in the DBMS architecture, we have the different components. So this is the structure of the database architecture, right? So in this, it consists the disk storage, storage manager, and query processor. So this is the disk storage, storage manager, query processor. This is the query processor. So in this, what are the components? So this is the disk storage. Disk storage is used to specific storage of the database. This is for the specific storage of the databases. And storage manager, this is a storage manager. The storage manager is used for manage all the memory allocations and deallocation of the data memory. To allocate the memory and deallocate the memory, the storage manager, it manages all these things. Next, query processor. So in this query processor, this is the query processor. This comes under the query processor. This is the query processor is what it do, which is in which all the queries which are executed on the database. It processes all the queries which is processed, these are the executed on database. This is about the query processor. It processes all the queries which are executed on the database. This is about the query processor. And next one, compiler and linker. This is the compiler and linker. Compiler and linker is used to compiles and run the queries in database. It compiles and run the queries in the database. Next one, query evaluation engine. So this is the query evaluation engine. The query evaluation engine. This is the query evaluation engine. Query evaluation engine is process the queries and evaluated whether the query is valid or invalid. Whether the query is right, correct or wrong, valid query or invalid query. It is decided by query evaluation engine. And next one, DDL interpreter. This is the DDL interpreter. So DDL interpreter, it processes all the DDL queries and DML queries in the database. Next, application program object code. This is the application programmers and object code. So this application program and program object code contain all the instructional code that to execute on the database. So next, DBMS architecture design depend upon its architecture. The DBMS which is designed depends on the architecture. Based on the basic client server architecture, it is used to deal with the number of PCs, large number of PCs, web servers, database servers, and other components that are connected with the networks. DBMS architecture depends upon how user connected to the database and to get their request done. Types of DBMS architecture. DBMS architecture is a different types. One-tier architecture, two-tier architecture, and three-tier architectures. So these are the types of DBMS architecture. So in this architecture, the database is directly available to the users. So the directly interact with the database is the user is directly interact with the database, which is directly available to the users. So any changes can be happen, which will directly done on the database, itself. Does not provide any handy tool for end users. Does not provide any handy tool for the users. The one-tier architectures is used for development of the local application, which is used for one-tier architecture is used for local applications in which the programs directly communicate with the database for a quick response. Programmers can directly communicate with the database for the quick responses. So next one, two-tier architecture. The two-tier architecture is same as a basic client server architecture. In two-tier architecture, application on the client end directly communicate with the database. At the server side. For this interaction of APIs are like a ODBC or JDBC are used in this. In two-tier architecture, we use the APIs like ODBC and JDBC. So the user interfaces and application programmers which is run on the client side. In this, the user interfaces and application programs can run on the client side. So this is about the two-tier architecture. So see in this is the client side, this is the server side, this is two-tier architecture. The user can interact with the database system through the application client. So here the server side, which is responsible to provide the functionalities like query processing and transaction management. So here we communicate with the database systems. The client side application, this one, establish the connection with the server. This is the client side is establish the connection with the server. This is about the two-tier architecture. And the next one, three-tier architecture. The three-tier architecture contains another layer between the client and the servers. So see, this is the new layer exists between the client and the server. So then it is called the three-tier architecture. The client cannot directly interact with the database. It cannot directly communicate with the server. Through the application server, we can communicate. The application on client end, which is interact with the application server, which further communications. The client interact with the application server, which further communicates with the database systems. Now, end users has no idea about the existence of database beyond the application server. The database also has no idea about any other user beyond the application. Right? And user has no idea about the existence of database beyond the application server. Database also has no idea about the other users beyond the applications. So three-tier architecture is used in case of large web or window or mobile applications. Three-tier architecture is used in case of large web, window or mobile applications. This is about the three-tier architecture. So these are the references. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.